Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of Let's Play Planet Coaster. We're back in Utopia, working on Project Utopia. That is, going in here on the Enchanted Forest, and we're actually getting pretty close to finishing the area of the park. The wooden coaster over there is done. You see us here adding the finishing touch little sign on Pixie Station here, and majority of this episode is going to be putting work towards Viola, which is the triple spin-esque flat ride that is going in between the little ring around Forest Lord and Pixie Station. So you see the main construction going on here is there's going to be actually a small house built around this kind of small section of the queue line. This is something that I've definitely wanted to do for a while, and I was considering doing with Forest Lord. Decided against it because I definitely wanted that ride to have that more outward, natural feel. But it was something I wanted to have as an element in this park, and I think it's something that you see a lot at kind of some real parks that add some scenery, add some immersion to it. So I wanted to build kind of like a almost like a, fairy tale kind of house over here, just kind of in the woods, kind of secluded. And it's just going to be a small area for the queue line. It's not anything significant. It's not really anything that I want people to see. It does give, excuse me, something small that you see if you're walking on the path line over there. You can kind of look to and see, oh, look, hey, there's this little, house thing looking cottage over there. And I think that adds a good element to it. So you see here that I was actually building it there, and I put in those like big window walls in there because I wanted it to kind of have a more open feel, and I didn't not want it to be a very quick closed, like hot, humid, kind of single themed area. And I think that by doing that, I really achieved the purpose of giving it that kind of more open look. And definitely spent a decent amount of time here, as you see, going putting the scaffolding on these windows, because there was no real great uniform way for me to do it without making an actual blueprint. And so I decided it would just be easier if I just manually did it, because it's only 3 windows, would not take that long. So you see me like I'm gonna go here and actually like advance move and copy a piece over to the other windows here. Takes a bit of time because it didn't really transfer perfectly right, and yada yada. But hey, that's life. So right now, you see I can come up with the walls on either side of the building, and this is really my first major experiment into actually building, um, kind of like a unused building in this software. So you'll see that I go ahead and put these windows on, and I'm actually going to add some other, fake windows and fake doors to kind of give it again that kind of housey not really cabin in the woods, kind of more like fairy tale home kind of feel. Another thing you'll notice I did a bit earlier is that if you look at the floor of it, I was having some problems because what the visual I wanted for it was to have, a solid wood floor, but you had the green in the little round corners over there on the far side of right side of your screen. So what I did is I built that solid wood floor there, so it looks like it's kind of like a uniform house floor. Slight problem with that was what happens is the wood on there, it almost aligns with the wood that makes up the queue line. When you kind of have that contrast, it does not look fantastic. Not really much I can do about that, but I think that, it's a small detail that in front of the small details like that are that small really won't have a major impact on the final product. See, I'm going in here adding windows as I said I would do, and kind of giving it that more realistic vibe. I'm gonna go put a door here too. So again, kind of that cottage here, and I'm actually gonna put an interior door right there. So it's kind of like a hey, you can go to the other parts of this house, but you really can't. Finally, I'm gonna throw in a sign as I'm looking for it right now, just kind of to give it a little more pizzazz, a little bit of actually something going on inside of it. Because I thought that it did well. If you were walking slowly in there, would be a little bear inside of this little fox sign, because I thought it was kind of natural, fairy tale esque kind of addition to the area and to the little hut. Now you're going to see me go ahead and actually add or start playing the roofing here. And I really like actually how the roofing style of this area turned out. I put a little arch roofway there, and I did a lot of outside corners or throughout the rectangular structure here. As you see, I'm kind of placing the 1H walls now. I think kind of giving that more unique aspect was something that really made this kind of building structure unique, especially as I get into a lot of the roofing structures way down the road. It's going to become very repetitive as I have to build a lot of buildings in Metropolis and a lot of buildings in Rivertown. It's going to be very important that I utilize different roofing structures and different roofing techniques to actually add variety to the park. And this was definitely a good place for me to do that. And so I think that the way I kind of do this with the 4 outward facing wedges is gets a good start, and it definitely gives that kind of lofty fairy tale feel. So I'm finishing up the walls over there. I'm actually going to go inside of the building in a second and make sure the walls actually extend all the way up to the tiles And I'm a little chimney right now. But so I think that you kind of have it doesn't look like a fantastic way right now, but when you actually surround it in trees, and I'm actually going to also add some ivy around it. And I think ivy is a fantastic element, especially for this area, because what a lot of it does is, it's easy to kind of make it creep up the side of a building onto the roofing. And so if you're kind of walking by it, you don't really get this idea of kind of an overgrown, old, actually in the woods kind of thing instead of this brand spanking new looking building, which seems really out of place. So, I'm gonna go ahead and place the 4 types of ivy kind of around this area. The stuff that's kind of going on here. So Pixie Station is essentially done over there. All that really is left that needs to be done around there is I need to go ahead and actually build the woods surrounding that kind of area, which I'm planning on doing much, much later. I'm not really too worried about that right now. More of a bigger concern is making sure that this kind of whole area looks good, and then I'm actually going to work probably stretch into the food court, and the food court and kind of the other half of this area, because I spent a lot of time that I didn't necessarily have on Forest Lord, and I think that since this kind of area is really super overdone, almost in a way, I don't really want to spend too much time overdoing everything. So you see here that what I kind of wanted to do with this ride, since it's probably the most tame ride in the area, is going to be kind of a floral arrangement because it is called Viola, um, and I kind of gave it some colors that, and are going to give it some colors that kind of suggest that to give it kind of again that natural feel. So I definitely placed a lot of these small flowers, and I wanted to kind of give it a really good sight line so you can kind of pan around it, look up to it, and you say, hey, look, there's all those really nice flowers and foliage work. So my original idea was to kind of do a random assortment of flower colors and kind of just have a like a random like, hey, just threw a bunch of flowers there. But I think when I got to around this point, I realized that that really doesn't look great. And that's not something you see when you're in a real theme park. There's always like a pattern or a shape or something going on. And so you'll actually see what I do is I start doing stripes, and the stripes kind of shift up and down as you go from row to row. I think adding that kind of effect gave it a definitely cool looking idea. I spent a lot of time actually making sure all the flowers were slightly different hues too, so I think that also added a lot to the overall effect and overall impact of having such a organized, but also at the same time, very beautiful display. Another major feature that I'm going to spend a decent amount of time here later working on is some of the wooded areas around Viola. So I wanted to have, some pretty dense woods because a main point of Enchanted Forest is I want you to see something and then kind of walk through the woods and see something else, but I don't want you to be like walking through the trees to see the ride's over there. If I just go, walk over to the other side of this path. So I definitely wanted to kind of give a lot of an isolated feel. So you see, I'm going to place a bunch of bushes all around here, and that's going to kind of start the outline for the forest. I think it was important, and I spent a lot of time initially, and as I go further on, I think I've learned a lot from how I kind of place bushes, place rocks, the order that I want to place these things. So I spent a lot of time here placing kind of some of these bushes, and I'm going to place some of these rocks kind of around it, get all the ground level stuff working first, and then before I actually add the trees and make it kind of an immersive environment. I also going to throw in this little tidbit right here. I added those little two poles right there because I intend on adding kind of a sign there, like a "Welcome to the Enchanted Forest." So here, if you go to the right, you hit Pixie Station and Viola. If you go to the left, you hit Forest Lord. So another major element that I think helped a ton of these really small bushes here, they're really small and they take up a lot of space. So I think they kind of give the forest ground a lot more texture. Go ahead and add in some of these evergreen trees here, and then I think the interesting thing is that the biggest tree in this game is the oak tree. So I think definitely as I learned I was doing this is I do all the other trees first, and then I kind of look from above where do I have my big gaps, and I kind of plop the oak trees in their specific places where I can actually cover up those areas that don't really have a lot of scenery and don't really have a lot of coverage. So you see I'm kind of looking around here, getting kind of close to it. You'll see that oak tree's kind of bleeding into the right area of Viola, and that actually proves to be a problem. Um, so I'm kind of, adding some colors, make it look good with the flowers. And you see I'm actually going to go ahead and remove that tree over there in a second. Or shift it, not remove it, excuse me, shift it out. So I'm, just checking to make sure all the ground scenery looks good because I want this to be a very well-developed area. So again, next time I'm actually going to be working on the food court area of this section of the park because I wanted to have, some of that, around that little central lake, have a little place to eat and drink and stuff of that nature. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.